how to get a business loan up to $10,000 in 10 minutes or less, even up to 2 million, 5 million and above, and by different means through credit, cash flow, collateral, equity, liquidity, and more. Hi, welcome in. This is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I'm a business funding expert, business loan broker expert, and pre-underwriter/underwriter who's been able to help a lot of people get the right type of funding under the right strategic partnership and roadmap for longer term. I've been doing this for quite some time. I understand the markets. I understand how heavy it is for specific industries and niches, and a lot of these things that are going on and things changing. So you have to be very cautious as well about just giving anybody and everybody your information, people overwhelming you, over promising and under delivering, bait and switching, backdooring deals, even legitimate lenders. You have to be very cautious of. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not any of that. And my background, I went to school academically. I run a few other businesses. So I know the struggles when you're just getting started and you're probably asking, where can I get the best business loan for my startup or non-startup? And I'm going to cover a few of those details in this video. But before I get into it, very quickly, down below in the description, if you're watching this later on YouTube, there will be some information in there. One of the very first links you can get started with your funding. And also there should be a link to a questionnaire form that I've made a video on before showing you how it looks like, and many people have filled out. So if you fill that out, some simple funding details, it's not an application. I am not a creditor. This is very safe and secure. I promise you that. Many people before you have gone through it and have come out of it the right way and ways. So when you fill that out, what happens? I'm very analytical. I'm very cerebral. I'm very introverted. Nowadays, I can sit in front of a computer, look through a lot of these things. I read bank statements, tax returns, P&Ls, balance sheets, debt schedules, personal financial statements, a lot of different documentation, and I do my own mathematics on it. Cash flow, profitability analysis, addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, integrals, differentiation. Not that it's needed for this type of math, but that's how I am. And so I review a lot of different things. And so with this questionnaire that is not an application, fill it out as accurately as you can. There can be some rough estimates in the numbers if you have something. If not, you can put 0 or leave it blank if possible to. And then it'll land in my email. I will then, at this phase, second phase, I will analyze and I'll evaluate those answers. I know how to base things off of credit, cash flow, collateral, and what is the best that is out there, even without reviewing bank statements at this moment. Once the documentation comes in, depending on the service, then it's pretty much done there. I understand everything and or with the team. So that will be in there. You'll get a very highly personalized email response with a PDF showing you your best funding option and options, personalized and customized, showing you information that is not even publicly released. So it's in your best interest to have this. It's like over 100-page PDF, more or less, but I'll guide you on where to look so you don't have to feel overwhelmed going through each page trying to find out the service. I'm going to put what's at the best at the top, and I'm going to organize it. I've organized this very well. I've been doing this, iterating this for many years. I know the processes, the system, when it makes sense to, not always to have this, but automation at the right time. And like a business owner, you have to stay organized, especially when it comes to budgeting. And in this market to transition now, a lot of people are falling behind on payments, accruing a lot of debt, and getting themselves in a situation that they can't get out of fast enough. They can't make their payments on time, things that are rolling over to the next month, taking on more overhead expenses just in their own personal life, not even in business. Or you have an opportunity that you need to capitalize on. You have a contract or a couple contracts to fulfill on, and you need to make sure you have the funds for it. You need the contractor, subcontracting this workout. You have a lot of things going on. Purchasing equipment, tools and supplies. You're like, where do I begin? I heard of credit, but am I even going to qualify just through credit? Or can I go get a business loan instead? Or what about these advances that I keep hearing about in this market? So I'm going to cover some of that. But for now, this up to 10K service, what does that entail? How do you qualify? And then we'll go into how do you get more from there. So I have the best lenders in this space, just so you know this, for full transparency. And I have the personality of an underwriter. I always wanted to be 100% an underwriter, but because of the opportunity cost, I'm on this side. I'm not doing that because it's not just an on-call type of thing. And so for more freedom, that's why I'm on this side a lot, and there are a lot of advantages to it as well. I love a lot of the back end stuff, and I do a lot of this for you. I truly do care about you and your health and your relationships. I really do. I don't just say it. It's not a cliche or cachet, like you just empty the cachet and you're back to normal. I really do care. A lot of people take that for granted and they're not as appreciative of it, or they are, but they just don't realize what they're getting themselves into, going to the wrong person. You don't even understand who they are. And I believe in understanding who the person is at their core values, their principles that govern their life and in business, understanding who they are, their vision, their mission, their values, because that says a lot about a person's character and a person's characteristic traits. And who they are is their identity, and then their behavior then reflecting on their identity, their core values driving a lot of that. So it's important you get to know who you're working with and an expert, a funding expert, a broker. And in this market, just going to apply anywhere and everywhere is not a good strategy, especially if it's just soft pulls. A lot of these lenders see this and they can communicate with one another, and a lot of people get declined for that. Too much activity, like you're searching for credit, too much activity, even if you didn't get a hard pull. There's a lot of stuff that happens, and you have to be more cautious in this market with a lot of people scamming and a lot of bad things. So this is a service for gig workers, the self-employed, contractors, many different types of small businesses, small to medium, large, and it just depends on the needs. So if you're getting up to 10K, you just have to understand, what are these funds being applied to? At the end of the day, it's not about the cost of funds or the interest or what's my principal. If you're that stingent about, like, I need to have the lowest interest rate and I can't afford a weekly repayment or a daily repayment, or at a monthly, I want to have it underneath this amount, you have to ask yourself, what is the primary need for these funds? You could have secondary and third, other constraints. But what is that primary use of funds going to do to your gross profit, your margin? What is it going to do to that overall? What are you currently producing, or you don't know yet, but you plan to get to this stage, and then your net at the end of the year, and then you break that up in chunks per month. What does that look like? And even on a lower scale. So understanding your percentages, understanding your numbers, understanding what you need to readjust, cash flow, profitability, different margins, different numbers to look at and calculate is very important. If you don't know what return on investment you're going to make by taking $5,000, you're not going to make $8,000, paying back $7,000 or however much it is. Yeah, that's going to dig you right underneath it, and you're going to look at this money as being expensive because all you're using it for, or a main priority, is for your overhead, your expenses, for payroll, for marketing costs, for equipment costs, leases. You have a lot of things going on, and you just can't justify taking the money because you're using a lot of it for savings. Now, if you used it for savings, but there's enough of a gap, you're profiting, you're over the 80 to 90% profit at the end of the year, and you break that up per month, how much in profit you have net, it makes sense to take a gamble. Or if it's not a gamble, then okay. But each business is different. There are different numbers, and I've helped out a lot of people improve their cash flow, EBITDA, profitability, and in other ways. So that's one thing to understand, that if you're going to use this for your restaurant, even if it's something small and maybe you didn't get everything that you wanted at once, a gazebo, what are you going to do? An outdoor patio set. You're just going to bring in 2 tables. You can't bring in 4 to 5 and fill up the next part because you can't afford to get more right now. So you fill up 2 to 3 spots. You have some shade. It's during the summer. That's going to bring in extra $2,000 to $3,000 a week or more. That's going to move the needle. But what are you paying back in return? And that's a big question a lot of people have. Just make sure that a lot of the times when you take this money, can you double, triple, quadruple your gross profit margins, your return on investment from this? Because anything from 15 to 20% is a huge jump. You might not think that is, but when you look at the net income from that, it's a huge difference. And that's enough to make sure you put that money and reinvest it back in the business. And if you have very little, you're not going to be able to cover everything. Pay yourself, and then also continue to run the business and operating smoothly and making enough money to then put it back in and do it for what you need to do. A lot of other things. So this 10K service, I've shown it before. I'll try to link it to you down below. I have my laptop in front of me, so I'm going to use this as guidance. We're here streaming on a social media platform. If you've been following me on YouTube, I do it this way. And sometimes at other times I will put it on video as a share screen. But here, this is instant funding for the self-employed and gig workers. That goes up to 10K in 10 minutes. So if you're somewhere within the minimum of about 3,000 per month on your lowest monthly revenue in the last 3 months, and you're doing up to maybe 14 or up to 10K a lot of the times, this is going to be a specific lender that I work with, and it's an exclusive relationship that not a lot of others have. They may use them in some capacity, but there's a lot more leverage with the exclusivity and a lot of other things that they're able to do. So it's pretty cool. And I'll just kind of quickly go over these 3 points, and I'm just using this as reference. I'm not reading anything. I'm just really going through some bullet points on what I have here. So it's pretty much one, you would apply to instantly be approved with a disclaimer. That's if you get approved. I'm not saying you will. That's a disclaimer there. It depends on your revenue, and that's a majority of it. And this lender doesn't even look at credit. They're not going to weigh in credit. So the credit requirements on the personal is not so much of the issue as is the business. They're not going to look at the business Intel score, the FICO, SPSS score, Equifax, Experian, or you have a Paydex score of a DUNS number of this. That's good for other aspects, for SBA loans, bank loans, sometimes bank lines of credit, fintech lines of credit in this market sometimes. But it's not so much heavily emphasized. Even with those, yeah, you have a better score, the more they're going to want to lend you, the more they see you reputable and making your payments. But there's other things that go into these other services, and if you want to learn more about those too, fill out the questionnaire if you haven't down below. So 1, apply to, approved, 3, funded instantly. And so this is the lender that does things more automatically. It's not more of a manual process where you have underwriters, the junior, the senior underwriter, and then the up here part of the process. This can be done quickly. You just link to a Plaid software that will make sure they see your account, and it's not bad, it's not fraud, it's safe and secure. I promise you that. I made a video review on Plaid that I'm going to link you to down below. If there, hopefully I remember to put it in the description. Sometimes I miss one link or here, and you might let me know, but I'll try to put it in the description for you to check out. There's things like that, decision logic checks, especially at a higher level. But that's how it works. Qualifications, if you would qualify, as I said already, 3,000 in your lowest monthly revenue in the last 90 days. So in the last 3 months. That's what we're looking for. Sometimes they might be asked for 4 months, but usually it's 3 months because of a lot of different states. California and New York at this time are not eligible. I know that's a major issue, and I've had a lot of people who tried to get funding through me this way, and they weren't eligible, so I had to look at other lenders and I had to look at other opportunities. But sometimes the revenue is too low, and that specific lender doesn't want to work with your specific industry, or they just change their guidelines. Like trucking is huge. A lot of lenders dropped out on that. Or they also raise their requirements to make sure you're generating more revenue so they can accept you. So 3,000 in monthly banking revenue. And the cool thing about this type of lender and these types of situations with the lowest amount up to 10K is that they won't necessarily need a business bank account. That's the word I was looking for, business bank account. You can't go through it with a personal account. Other lenders, they need to make sure you have a business account. So if you're commingling funds from personal to business with some other lenders, like that won't be counted as true organic revenue. If you have different contracting jobs and you have hustles or things that are going on and you're putting it all in one business checking account, like what's the entity that you're applying under, and that's the revenue we'll want to see that's coming in from that. All those other ones are just subsets, even if it's a primary. So 3,000 in monthly revenue, and that's what you see as the standard all across the board. Anything under that is pretty hard to, and you even see platforms like PayPal and things like that where they expect you to be generating 10,000 in sales and nothing less or more or less than that, and keep a specific amount of volume to be credible in their eyes and continue to produce. And a lot of the times those types of programs aren't in your best interest for service fees and a lot of other stuff that can happen down the road. Simple process, you'll answer a few questions and you'll link your bank account for review for approval terms, and then you can decide if you accept the funding offer if it's presented to you, and then you can receive the funds to the account that you had connected it to. So that's safe and secure and fast, all in a day, instantly. Other services don't really do that, so it just again depends on how much you really need. You have a repair, oh, I need to repair my truck, it's been sitting in the garage, or I have it here, I can't let it sit in there. I really need at least $3,000 to $4,000 to get me back on track so I can get back onto the road, continue with these FedEx routes, or add more routes and do what you need to do to generate more revenue, because your trucks are the lifeline of your business. And it's not only due to trucking, it could be medical equipment, things in the restaurants, you have inventory control and management, You have to make sure you put the right people in the right places, and then to manage the business, a lot of other things that you have to do going on to grow the revenue of it and profitability wise and more. Easier qualifications. These are transparent terms. No collateral is required. So the terms are normally between 3 to 6 months. Sometimes you see 3 to 4, 2 to 3. In some cases, it might be dropped less. But 3 to 4, 3 to 6 months, you'll see kind of be the frame. And if you do less revenue and it's your first time getting one of these funding, it's not necessarily going to start you off at 5 to 6 months unless you have the revenue, unless it's a strong amount of time in business, preferably. And there are a few other things that are being looked at. Once you get into the 7,500 to 10,000, just under 15,000, maybe you're doing 14,000 and you go through this at a $14,000 minimum monthly revenue. Okay, then we can look at it a little bit more and the type of industry that it is. Yeah, that'll be factored into the equation. These are advances, by the way, in case I didn't say this. So it's not all business loans. When you come online, you can't qualify for a bank. If you could qualify for a bank, that's where I would begin. I have a lot of people I help out right now with not always traditional like Chase, Bank of America banks to get term loans, lines of credit. They're not always eligible to, and you might not have the best relationship or don't even have one. You might not get the best affordability. They don't get the use of your funds. The underwriting is mundane. There's a lot of little processes and little parts of that process that I don't like myself, and that a lot of people have gone through too and have shared with me, and things that have been recommended to them. So there are alternative banking lenders, online banking lenders that I have that are able to help out as well. And it depends on your industry, on the specific needs, on which one I would best choose for your situation, the market. There's a lot of things. So that's why it's in your best interest to have a broker. It's not best to just hear, oh, I heard about this company online. They advertised all this, or I put my information into this, but I'm unsure. Now you're going into a whole ship where a storm's already brewing, or you're already in the middle of the storm, you're trying to get out of it. A lot of these other companies I wouldn't recommend, so be very cautious. I've done my homework. Even if there's a legitimate company out there, doesn't mean it's in your best interest to get the most amounts at the best terms, at the best rates. And inquiring after inquiring, that's the hardest problem that I'm seeing right now. I know people with revenue credit are having troubles, but right now it comes to too many inquiries. Even if you didn't receive the funding, even if it wasn't a hard pull, there's these advances that are doing hard pulls now for the majority of them. That's not just soft pulls after contracts have been signed. A lot of it is now hard pulls, so you have to be cautious and stop weighing so much, shopping around to like 5 different places. Why not go to one place that's a brokerage that I have a strong personal and business connection with? I already have relationships to those lenders directly, and if there are new ones, there are new ones. But on the back end, I'm working out things as well with the team to make sure you get the best lender, reviewing the documentation up front, back here, however it is looked at, however it can be looked at. And then there's also directly. You go directly, I might say we'll go directly to this one, or let's go indirectly where there's already 3 or 4 of those direct lenders here. But for more flexibility, it's better to do it that way. Once this gets submitted, I'll know more information on which lender, and I'll communicate with them on the back end and or the team, and then things will go more fluidly. It's much faster, streamlined that way. Believe me, instead of going 3, 4 different applicants directly all the time, that's not the best thing to do within 30 days. That's not always in the best interest. So no collateral is required for these, just as no credit requirements, no collateral, funding relationship. Your payment history earns you more. You receive funding again if eligible. Once you come in the door, like they say, open up the door for more add-on funds available, and then you can go ahead and get started to apply now. So that's just pretty much the gist of it. The factor rates, that's what it's based upon. It's based on what your future receivables will be. So it's not a traditionally amortized business loan, and it's based off of what your current sales are, what they will be and be producing. And that can be taking a percentage from that, or it can be like a daily or a weekly repayment. These are just weekly. So this specific lender does not do daily. Maybe it changes in time, but it's strictly weekly. Now, if you don't qualify because of the states, then if you're doing $5,000 and above on your lowest month in revenue, then we'll push you to another lender, and they will weigh in your credit with as low as $450, but ideally in this market $500, if not $550 and above. And so there's a few things there. Factor rates can vary between a 1.29 to about a 1.69. That just means you're getting $20,000, a 1.29, you pay back $29,000 on that. Can you make more than $29,000? And these don't go above normally $10,000. So you get $5,000, you got a 1.45 rate, you're assessed at a higher risk. The $5,000 times that 1.45 is what you're expected to pay back. So you always got to ask yourself, can I make more than what I'm repaying back, what the cost of funds are at the end of the day? What's my addition by subtraction, and understanding how much you generate. So there are more details to this, of course. There's a little bit more of a list of requirements. Defaults are considered even if you've defaulted. There's a few more things. I'll try to link you to the video down below. You can view more of those requirements, but I'll also leave a place to get started. If so, and the questionnaire will be down below in the description. To get more funding above this, generally you want to be doing more than 5,000. That's one thing. But ideally, you want to be doing at least 15,000 on your lowest month in the last 90 days, if not 4 months, depending on the state. Like California is one of them, Utah is another one, there's a couple more. But things have been changing and becoming more regulated, and things that have become more controlled, which is great for the market, and it's going to weed out other people who are doing fraudulent or scammy things or aren't doing things correctly and are taking shortcuts and things like that. So that will be there to get more. 15,000 and above, there's brackets to it. 15, 25, doing 50,000 a month, being an A-tier type of client. The more you do, the better. With these, I don't believe I said this, but they normally approve 25 to 75% of your average monthly revenue, and then the lowest monthly revenue is also considered. So there's different numbers to look at that we'll look at, and then also, or that the company itself will look at primarily on that point. But when you go to a higher tier of revenue, they can do 50 to about 150 or 50 to 200%. Depends on where you are. If you have negative days, how many negative days? Your average daily bank balance is lower than what was wanted. So we couldn't push that up to above 110% of what you could get your first time or your second time, or you already have another advance out. And that's another thing too. If you're dealing with problems with keeping your payments under control and you need some kind of like debt restructuring or debt relief, make sure you do this accurately, and I have information for that. I'll also reveal it to you when I give you the customized PDF back, so you'll have everything all in one place. You can reuse it. It's awesome. This is something that you can reuse, come back to. Well, I don't need now, but I'm going to go back. Okay, I couldn't qualify, but this is what I need to get qualified. Boom, boom. Here's for credit. Here's for cash flow. Here's for collateral. Now I know what to do. I wish somebody would have shown me this in the beginning, but you're getting it there. And so different revenue streams can unlock, or different tiers of revenue that you're generating can unlock the percentage of approvals. And there's things that have to be looked at the bank statements and different processes. So to get more, you obviously want to be doing more and try to approve between 100 to 200% of your monthly revenue, so you can get as much as you can, excuse me. So there's that. There's credit sides of the funding world that is out there too. I don't want to go too much into this and take away from the business loan / advances, but there are those options, collateral back. So people also, they opt not to go with the advances and they go through credit because their credit is good, or you just need to get it up. You need credit repair. If you need a lot of this, guys, I have it. I'll take care of it for you. You don't have to worry. Like I said, I'm just very loyal. I value integrity. I have these core values, very transparent, disciplined and punctual beyond belief, very organized, calculated like no other, because I have to be very energy and time effective with what I do and who I give my energy and time to, and the processes that I go about it. So all of this information for you will be down below. Check out the other video where I did the review on this specific lender as well, but you can fill out the questionnaire form to get started. And if you have already and I got back to you, that's one thing. And if I haven't, I do get quite busy sometimes, but that's fine. You're dealing with an expert. The opportunity cost, that's what we're looking at. What are you foregoing? Are you accepting only average? Are you accepting less, substandard? I don't. I want to work with somebody who's going to take me to a higher level. And I don't mean that in business only. I mean that as a person. Somebody that can educate me. What do they have? How did they work on their development and growth? Why does that matter? Because as soon as I changed this, or I made this even stronger, this was strong, I made it even stronger too, my business began to change and it flourished. And I have other ones too in the digital marketing agency, lead generation space, health affiliate marketing, other verticals in the affiliate space. This is my primary focus though, helping you get the right funding, and I'm an expert at it. The other ones have been subcontracted, or I can check in from time to time and I'll have to do as much, but I already did it for many years. And so this has been a primary focus of mine, seeing the economy come back to what it at least could look like. Not saying 100% it'll be back to normal 100%, but helping you as a small business owner stimulate your own economy meaning your own systems, your own community. And I've seen the differences that makes on you, your employees, if you have employees, to the people that you are servicing with goods or just services, or a combination of the two, how to adjust for a lot of this stuff that's going, and just driving a lot of community at the end of the day. And that's one thing that I value a lot of, is community and really helping you. So that's everything from me. If you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others so you feel will find value from it. It can be a complete stranger, a friend, or a family member. And if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe and click that bell notification icon so you do not miss any future content I will be coming out with. And that is everything for now. Appreciate you. Thank you. And I'll communicate with you on the next one. Take care.